The advent of digital technologies and the proliferation of the internet and smartphones have fueled the rise of numerous digital platforms, dramatically transforming various industries. One sector that has experienced such revolutionary change is the food service industry, where food delivery apps like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, and Just Eat have been game changers. Let's start with the consumer's perspective. On the surface, it's easy to appreciate the convenience and the diverse array of food options these platforms provide. Still, the associated costs are more significant than what meets the eye. A 2020 Forbes analysis revealed that consumers could end up paying up to 44% more for their meals through a delivery app than by ordering directly from a restaurant or picking up the meal themselves. Breaking it down, a meal that costs $39.96 directly from a restaurant can end up costing the consumer $57.66 when ordered through a delivery app. For an average consumer who spends roughly $20 on dinner during weekdays, this markup and the associated fees could mean an additional expenditure of around $6,000 a year. These numbers take on a sobering perspective considering that a significant portion of the consumer base of these food delivery apps are younger users who are relatively early in their earning life cycle. If a 22-year-old were to invest this additional $6,000 per year in a retirement fund with an average 6% return rate, they could potentially accumulate around $1.08 million by the time they are 65. Adding to this are the hidden costs. Consumers end up paying not just for the food, but also for a host of additional fees that include service charges, tips, delivery fees, and small order fees for orders that don't meet a certain threshold. A $20 meal can cost consumer $31.29 after including a $2.49 delivery fee, a $4.80 service fee, and a suggested $4 tip. That's a staggering 56% increase from the original cost. Switching our lens to the restaurants, the story is not too different. These food delivery platforms charge restaurants a commission, which could be as high as 30% per order. This significantly eats into the restaurant's profit margins, which are typically razor-thin to begin with. In essence, a restaurant with $1 million in annual revenue could end up losing $300,000 to these commissions. And this doesn't even factor in the instances where these platforms list restaurants and their menus without explicit consent, which can potentially lead to confusion and reputational damage for the restaurant. The economic impact extends to the gig workers, i.e., the delivery drivers. These drivers are often underpaid and work long hours to make ends meet. On top of that, they bear the costs of their vehicles, which include maintenance, insurance, and fuel. The Economic Policy Institute, in a 2021 report, suggested that some drivers might end up earning less than $5 per hour. This raises concerns over the sustainability of their jobs and the fairness of their compensation. Interestingly, despite their enormous customer base, the hefty fees charged, and the less than minimum wages paid to the drivers, many of these food delivery platforms are yet to turn a profit. Uber, for instance, reported a net loss of $2.9 billion in the first quarter of 2020. While some of this can be attributed to their heavy investment in growth and customer acquisition, it does highlight the fundamental challenges that these platforms face in achieving a sustainable, profitable business model. In conclusion, while food delivery apps have brought immense convenience and expanded the culinary horizons for consumers, they also come with substantial economic costs and implications. Consumers end up spending significantly more on their meals. Restaurants lose a sizable portion of their revenues to commissions, and drivers often end up earning less than minimum wage. On top of that, these platforms are grappling with the challenge of turning a profit, despite their extensive user base and revenues. This presents a pressing need to rethink and redesign the business model and practices of these food delivery platforms in a way that ensures a fair and sustainable economic outcome for all stakeholders involved. While the convenience and accessibility that these platforms offer are undeniably appealing, it's crucial for consumers to be aware of the actual costs involved and make informed decisions. Similarly, restaurants need to carefully consider the trade-offs between the increased reach and sales volume and the high commissions that these platforms charge. For the drivers, it's important to understand the costs they bear and the real income they earn. Policymakers and regulators also have a role to play in ensuring fair practices and preventing any exploitative behaviors by these platforms. Finally, the platforms themselves need to seriously rethink their business model and look for ways to achieve profitability without unfairly burdening the other stakeholders in the ecosystem. Only then can the food delivery app industry evolve into a truly beneficial and sustainable part of our digital economy.